What is good, y'all? I'm happy to finally be back. Jordan, Swipa, Jordan, our number one, leading the league, like steadily leading the league now, a few weeks in a row. I even beat me last week. I was kind of glad that I missed last week's episodes, not going to lie. Didn't really want to face Jordan in those moments. Your team is just too good. You score too many points. It's crazy. I was trying to figure out a trade potentially before you and I played, and it drove me crazy. I've never experienced this much anxiety over a team that is all fictional and made up. But you're just killing everybody, Jordan.
It's week 10. I don't particularly care. Thank you.
Hey, wait. One game at a time. One game at a time. Lakers.
No, but I'm serious this time. I've had too many. Well, I mean, I've won a. I don't win every league I'm in, but I don't really ever finish. I think I finished below third like once, but the times where I was like third or whatever, and I was leading most of the season, it looked great until it didn't in the playoffs. So it only takes 1 week, especially when you're doing 1 week matchups. It takes 1 week, so it looks beautiful right now. But until I'm one seed locked into a bye and in the championship game, at least not that way, I'll know I'll make some money. Then I'll be happy. But it's still one game at a time, like you said.
Before the cameras rolling, it was like, what did you?
Oh no, we do have the most points. Yeah, we do. We do have the most.
Most points and most points scored against you. So
yes,
solid wins.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, usually that doesn't equal success either. Because usually it works against you when you have that.
Mm-hmm. If only Chubb was healthy, we would be. Oh my goodness! If Chubb was healthy, this would be not good for the rest of the league. But
and Swipa on his fourth win in a row.
Yep.
I had 4, and then I had a loss due to I think Chase and Cup had 12 points combined last week. And then now I'm on the way. If Javonte Williams has a good matchup tonight, which is versus the Bills, who can't stop the run, I need basically 10 points, and I'll win again today. Then I'll have won 5 of the last 6 matchups, and then with a chance to, keep moving up these rankings a little bit. So I'm excited. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I feel like it's competitive time. I'm excited for tonight's matchup. I can't tell you how many games I picked wrong this weekend. Like Ravens Browns, I thought the Browns had that. I was shocked to see
the Ravens or the Browns.
I thought I had the Ravens finishing that game off before it started, and it got all close. And at the end, the Browns come through. But same thing with like the Cardinals game. I guess I definitely thought the Falcons were going to come through there. I feel like there's like a lot of mid teams, whether you're mid high or mid low. It just depends, but like tons of mid. And then there's the upper echelon, and then there's garbage, which should only be played at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings, in my personal opinion. But best performers this week. I personally got to give a shout out to Brian Robinson. He did great for my team. He had 8 points, especially with Derrick Henry dropping the ball. Just left me hanging. Bad performance from Derrick Henry, but Brian Robinson played really well. On my other league, I have Bijan Robinson, who finally got some carries and touches. I was hyped for that. But what about you guys? Who are your best performers this week?
Dak and CD. Very, very beautiful stack. It's 2 weeks in a row, I believe. They've been last week they combined for I think 60, somewhere around that, and then this week was almost 80.
Yeah, so long as they're playing versus a mid team, they're going to look great. So you'll be fine until playoff, basically.
Exactly. CD will be fine either way, but Dak is the one that's iffy depending on who you're playing. But as long as he can put up fantasy numbers for me, that's all I care about. They can fall behind in games all they want. But yeah, they were good. And then I'll give a shout out to position that typically doesn't get shout out, kicker Jason Myers had 21 points for me this week, which was I didn't necessarily need it because I was winning. I'm going to win my matchup either way, but anytime you can just score more points for tiebreakers and such, that always is a benefit. So I'll shout out him.
Yeah, I mean, really around the league, I'll give a shout out on Jenna's team, but Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen with 40 points.
Yep.
This past week, 40 points.
I was worried about Herbert there for a second, though. The first half it wasn't looking good. It was looking like I had Josh Dobbs on my bench with a higher scoring day than what Herbert was going to give me. So luckily he came through.
Yeah. So Keenan Allen is wide receiver 2 on the year. He'd had 1 week for a receiver, which is mighty impressive. That's less than 10 full PPR fantasy points.
That's fantastic.
That's asinine. And
Yep.
so
Yep.
his totals, he just had 40, had 15.7, 14.9, 9.5, 21.5, 12, 45, 31, 14. He's just been on a heater the
Mhm.
entire year. So Keenan Allen, just been amazing so far this season. And then too, bro, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase obviously started off slow this year, but they basically been dynamite ever since probably like week 5. Basically, like they just been playing really well together. Brian Robinson, as Jenna highlighted earlier, just continued to have a really dominant season. Austin Eckler, Jahmyr Gibbs have excellent freaking games. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery carry you more than likely to victories this week, which is just incredible. And then Chris Olave had a really good week. Chris Olave, 6 reception for 94 yards and a touchdown. And there's somebody in particular on my team that I want to give a shout out to that I traded for in trying to get him in my other league is Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman on the year is a wide receiver 11. And again, I think a lot of people were a little concerned because he was getting a rookie quarterback. And then when he went to Gardner Minshew was going to be playing, doesn't have the best track record with solidifying wide receiver 1. But Michael Pittman's been a wide receiver 1 in that mid offense that featured Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss for most of the year. So his ability to rack up running yards up to the catch and to get the contested catches and even get the end zone every so often, and even taking screens to the house. Like he's like a lesser version of what Demaryius Thomas was when he was playing. So it's been really good all year. Alvin Kamara, yet another day, 18.5 fantasy points. Alvin Kamara, basically since he's come back, has been running back 1 on the season, and he's just been incredible. He's even better than Saquon Barkley when Saquon Barkley's been healthy, obviously, but Saquon's had a couple duds, had a little bit of a dud this last weekend versus Dallas. We'll talk about that in a minute. But really, fantasy football was just popping this week, man. If you had anything of Detroit with Amon-Ra, David, or Jahmyr Gibbs, then you had over 100 points this week.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
You didn't even mention CJ Stroud, who's just doing crazy things, potentially has a case for best rookie QB season ever already going for him, for sure. And then I actually picked up off the waiver wire last week Noah Brown, who had his second really nice week. He was on my bench, but it did kind of confirm to me some of what I thought was going to happen. So maybe next week I start him over one of the guys I had put ahead of him. I wanted to see if it was going to be consistent, but man, CJ's doing some crazy stuff as well. Pretty good numbers from Geno. Lots of good quarterbacks this week. Probably less good quarterback performances have to be, let's see, Lamar.
Josh Dobbs. He's QB7 on the year,
that's crazy.
Which is crazy.
And he's not drafted. He's still on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, I'm sure some of that. I'm sure a little bit of it is. I'm sure he's played I think he may have played every week this year, whereas other guys have a game less. Yeah. But even within that, he has a week in there where he had a point, and then he has a week in there where he had 8 points, I think. So that it's not even really that. He's just performing at a QB top 10 QB level as far as fantasy goes. I think it's because of the rushing upside. He has a few rushing touchdowns this year, and it's way more upside rushing wise than I think people realize. So
he has 4 straight games with the rushing touchdown, by the way.
Yep. There you go.
That's with a minimum of 6 carries.
Yep, there you go. That's 6 points right there, and you figure he's getting at least 20 yards. So that's a big thing, 8-9 points just from before you even get to his passing stuff. So Josh Dobbs is a starter if you need him to be, or at least a spot starter at the very least.
That's why fantasy football is so random, man. You just honestly never know. If you had Noah Brown and Josh Dobbs in your roster, you might have cleared 150 points in whatever team you're on.
Yep.
Are there any guys who you think you're kind of cold on? Players that have just kind of cooled off, not getting a lot of looks, biggest disappointments from this week?
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones, y'all, 3 of the last 4 weeks rather, and then when he's played 4 of the last 5 weeks he's played in, he's had single digits in those games. And for Aaron Jones, for somebody you more than likely drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round in fantasy, this is somebody you wanted to be an RB1 level player. He has 2 weeks this week that you basically got that production. Week 1, and then he got it again in week 9. And outside of that, Aaron Jones hasn't done much of anything. So, that might be a trade that I'm looking at, like in terms of a player I want to put on my roster. But this would be like RB3. I just want to have somebody else on my roster that's just there. And name brand value, they're probably going to ask for a significant return for him. But, I think if you can get him as an RB3, that's a target, just somebody that has more upside if the year goes on and they get a little more consistent. But Aaron Jones probably for me has been one of the biggest disappointments in fantasy football.
I would say D-Hop, and it's no fault of his own. I mean, I'm looking at these. He's been okay. He's been like a flex guy this year, basically, but he's 8 targets, 3 receptions, 11 targets, 4 receptions, 6 targets, 4 receptions is good. 5 targets, 1 reception. 6 targets, 4 receptions, 7 targets, 3 receptions, 13 targets, 7 receptions. They're like the completion percentage to D-Hop this year, just because of the quarterback plays. He had a couple good weeks in there, but in that regard, but it just hasn't been it. And it's through no fault of his own. He had the 1 week with Will, and then he went right back to more of the same because Will is just none of the quarterbacks on that roster are particularly good. And I know D-Hop went and took the money, which is cool. And he's still, I'm still comfortable putting him in a flex spot on any given week because I think I have enough guys to kind of insulate him, and then he's got the upside there. But if you're drafting him to potentially be like a 2, which people thought he could be, then you're very disappointed because the quarterback play has just not helped him measure up. And then I would say, who else?
Talk to me about Chuba Hubbard.
Chuba, yeah.
And he's getting like plenty of touches, plenty of attempts, and he can't get any yards after.
Yeah, that backfield is just
that offensive line was hot trash.
Yeah, the whole offense. Anything there other than Thielen. I don't know how Thielen did this week, but
not good.
Anything other than him in that offense, I'm cool on. Offensive line is just not good.
Yeah. I could have started Noah Brown in that slot over Chuba Hubbard, who got me 5 points, 5.9 points, but Noah Brown had 24 points. And instead I was starting Chuba Hubbard, a running back 1, though.
You would think.
Well, also, too, Mark Andrews had a horrible week, but it wasn't Mark's fault. Mark's fault. He only got me 5.4 points in my other league. But really, that's just because
it's a weird game script. It was
I don't know the Ravens, man, they have this thing where they'll get up, they'll run the ball really well, and then if they need to get back in the game with passing, it happens every so often. But man, even the Cleveland game this last week, they just got ran down and didn't have any answers for it. And Mark is, you think he would be able to get some open matchups there, but he couldn't find anything. Zay Flowers went down at one point, so that was disappointing for Mark. But Mark, obviously, he's tied in 3 on the year in a half PPR league, especially. So you definitely expect him to get better from there.
Yeah. Mark will be. Mark will be Mark. But yeah, this week, especially if you were counting on him, because I started him. He had 6.4. Luckily, we were good elsewhere. Just hope things like that don't happen later in the season, for sure.
Well, tonight we have Bills Broncos coming up for you. Monday Night Football. I know that Swipa has someone starting on his team tonight. Yeah. Do you want to talk about who you're starting tonight, Swipa?
No, Javonte Williams, he's healthy now. He's going to continue to pop off double-digit weeks and back-to-back weeks. He's playing versus the Buffalo team that's been getting shredded in the run game. And I think that Javonte definitely is a spot starter. You probably have Cortland Sutton on your roster. He's probably a flex receiver for you, not your wide receiver 2, could be in some leagues. That's another player that's, I think, guaranteed that you're definitely going to play. But, yeah, I think that this is going to be an interesting game. I actually don't even know who's going to win tonight. I don't even have a solid prediction on how the game's going to go because of how the Bills have been playing. Then all of a sudden, Broncos are, beating the Kansas City Chiefs and stuff. So I would not be surprised at all if the Bills win, just to be clear. And I'm not even going to – I can't even tell you how it feels if the Broncos won, given they lost to the Raiders. They lost to another bad team in the middle of that, and then they got a 70 ball put on by the Dolphins. But then all of a sudden, last 3 weeks, they're like, oh, we're actually one of the, 10 best teams in football, apparently. So, we'll see what happens tonight.
Okay, they won against the Chiefs team that had a very sick quarterback. So let's come back to earth.
He was sick. Oh, was your quarterback sick? Oh,
Who literally runs their entire system. So come back to earth.
The
Broncos are
quarterback
not
was
winning
sick.
this game. The Bills
The
have
quarterback
been
was sick.
bad. The Bills have been bad against good teams, but against mediocre teams and trash teams
Didn't they
like
just lose to the? They lost to the Jets in week 1, by the way.
Jordan,
They
what's
got
your
smoked
prediction
by
for
the
tonight's
Jets.
game? Who are you starting? Because I have James Cook in one of my leagues, and I started him over. I actually was contemplating who I was going to start him over. Let me look. But start tonight.
All the Bills. Gabe Davis is a hit or miss, but he probably starting him if he's this far in the week. He haven't started anybody yet. Who else? Broncos. Javonte's cool. Receivers are okay.
They lost to the Patriots. I forgot. That's who they lost to. Lost to the freaking Patriots. Did you see Mac Jones?
Yeah. Receivers are okay. I might start one of them. Only if I have to at this point. And then Russ, if you don't have a quarterback tonight, you're probably, I guess you're starting him if you don't have Josh Allen. But yeah, at this point, you get to this point in the week, you're pretty much starting. If you're watching the night with fantasy implications, you probably, whoever you're starting, you probably have to start them. You probably are in a situation where you have to start them. So, but on a given week, I'm looking at the receivers. I'm looking at maybe Russ if he has a favorable matchup, Javonte, and then on the Bills side, I'm looking at Diggs, Allen, obviously. Cook is interesting. I don't know on a given week anymore if that's a set it and forget it like people thought it would be.
Yeah.
And that's probably about it. And then Gabe Davis is a flex. Maybe. He's a flex. He's a comfortable flex, but I might have better options if I have a good team.
Do you think this Bills team is as bad as Swipa clearly thinks they are?
I don't think they're
I
making.
think they're mid.
Yeah, I don't think they're making the Super Bowl or anything like that. I think they're.
Do you think they guaranteed make the playoffs?
No, I'm saying that the Broncos aren't even close.
Yeah, because I think they'll win the division. I think they will win that division by a game. I don't think it'll be runaway, but I think they'll win the
Chargers
division.
fan talking to me about being good at football. Isn't that crazy, Jordan?
Yeah, we beat the Chargers yesterday. That was a nail biter. That was a great fantasy matchup.
That was a great fantasy matchup.
I had Jahmyr Gibbs in the league, and I know.
Is that the biggest? Is that the biggest game of the week of the year so far from offensively between two teams, or?
I mean, between two teams, yes. The Dolphins game where they score 70.
The Dolphins, yeah.
Remember that game?
They probably carried on their own.
Mm-hmm. I do.
70 points.
But if you're talking about from two teams where it was relatively balanced, probably so. I think the Eagles matchup last week with the Cowboys was pretty good.
Yeah, AJ Brown, CD, Dak, Jalen, yeah.
And then
Swift.
And then the Colts when they played
the Saints, or the Colts and
Colts and Saints, Bucks, Browns, I believe as well.
Yeah.
So off the top of my head, those were some that are all high scoring ones. But I think yesterday that was kind of crazy between the Chargers and the Lions. I watched
everybody you needed to play well. Basically, they all played well.
They all played well. Yeah. We scored, and then I left the room to get a drink, and the Chargers scored. It was right after. It was pretty crazy to watch.
Yeah, it's always tough. I have Herbert and Montgomery on my team, and then in my other league, I have Eckler, and I forget who else. But it's like you're cheering for both sides, so it's tough to. You're like, I want both sides.
Yeah.
Going really so that fantasy.
The worst is when you have like a player in one league that's really good, but you're playing against them that same week.
Right.
That's how I felt this week versus Kamara and JT. Playing both of them. And so I'm just like watching this, like celebrating in one league, but don't do too well, but give me my points. Like, don't go over the top,
Yep.
That's funny. Well, Monday Night Football tonight, and we'll be back Wednesday afternoon, night, depending on what part of the world you're in, to talk about this coming week. Any look aheads? Anything you guys are excited for? Jordan, are the Bills tonight? Yes or no?
Or the Bills? Yeah, they'll win tonight. I don't think it's going to be particularly
Yeah, I hope they should.
On the
Hey,
watch.
keep knocking the Broncos down that draft order.
Yes.
The game of the week for sure is going to be Thursday because the Bengals, they got no choice but to win that game. So, and the Ravens, I think they need to win this game too. Like, it's two must-win situations, and the Ravens are about to lose. They're about to lose hold of the division if they lose this game. I think they'll go down to, what will they be, 7-3 if they lose, and then Cleveland has a chance to catch up, and the Steelers would have a chance to catch up, and then now the Bengals would be sitting at 6-4 as well. So, yeah, man, a lot on the line. That whole division is cold.
That matchup, and then I think you have Eagles Chiefs on Monday off of a bye. This week coming up. So 2 good primetime matches. I don't know what the Sunday night game is off the top of my head, but those 2 good primetime matchups at least for Thursday and Monday after a slate of.
Sunday night's the Broncos and Vikings, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say we had to have one trash matchup in there.
And the Vikings are playing well.
They're playing well.
Josh Dobbs is cold, bro.
Yeah, he might be.
And Justin Jefferson might be back.
That could be good, but it pales in comparison to those other 2. But it'll hopefully at least.
Well, that's crazy because the Eagles or Chiefs now they wanted to win the Super Bowl this year, probably.
Probably so. Probably not.
Well, Swiper, you're going up against Facts and Stats. We should have him on
next week.
Yeah, this week 11. So we should have him on Wednesday. And
tell them that super trades don't give you good juju.
We
should talk about the super trades.
Playoff implications for that matchup. That's going to be a very important one. Actually,
nigga Jordan from the top of his ivory tower. Y'all got playoff implications down there.
You guys better watch out. I'm gonna have a bye though.
One more win and I'll relax. One more win and we should have the bye. If I can get the 10 wins, then we can start resting guys and preparing for the playoffs.
I feel like you've gone up against all the hard teams already, so now it's going to be.
I got one more rematch with someone. I think he's number 2, TK, I believe. I beat him earlier in the year, but that's the last hard one left. This week.
I have TK this week.
I benefit from him being he has a lot of guys on buys this week, like Sosa did this week. Next week, like Sosa did this week.
Okay.
But told them, like I'm just saying, I won my matchup when all my guys had buys. So
yes,
buys are no excuses. Buys are no excuses.
Bye weeks and injuries is Swiper's jam.
By the way, this is the same person that said that the Houston Rockets beat the Lakers without them. With an AD.
Hey, listen, they did.
Houston Rockets have been balling. I don't know what you're talking about, Swiper.
If you look, I acknowledge it, but if you look at their dunks and threes, adjusted net rating, they're a bottom 10 team as well, so they are going to fall off. But it's a good rise.
You lost and we lost, Swiper. 2 L's. I don't care about how many points. 2. We both lost to the Rockets.
No way. 34-point loss, 3-point.
And my best player wasn't there. Your best player is
LeBron James, by the way.
No.
No. Anyway. All right.
We're getting off topic. We'll tap back in on Wednesday with y'all. Thanks for joining us for the latest episode. Subscribe, follow, share, do it all.
Peace, everyone.